This week on Arizona Illustrated, spring destinations near and far. Part one of our architectural walking tour of Bisbee, Arizona. A bookshop at the end of the world. Rattlesnakes up close and personal. And pinball through the ages. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. Oh, what a beautiful spring. Sunny, not too hot, perfect for a stroll, a bike ride, golf, anything outside. But we all know what's coming, summer. With that in mind, we're going to spend the next 2 weeks exploring places near and far to enjoy the remaining days of spring. Our first story takes us to Bisbee, a town just 100 miles southeast of Tucson, known for its mining past, its numerous artists and galleries, antique stores and cafes. It's also an architectural wonderland where a day's stroll offers a tour of over 100 years of history.
I'm Bob Vint, an architect from Tucson specializing in historic preservation. One of my favorite places to come on the face of the earth is Bisbee, Arizona, because here you can see architecture of varied styles, but all working together to create a unique urban environment.
And you've got every style under the sun. You've got Italianate, you've got neoclassical, you've got Baroque revival, streamlined Deco Moderne, not to be forgotten, that's the PD Mercantile store, Carpenter Gothic.
Well, here we are on Main Street in Bisbee, also known as Tombstone Canyon for the natural landform that the road snakes up. And it's characterized by this concentration of just great architecture, great buildings. In fact, in my opinion, Bisbee has the highest concentration of architecture per square inch in the state of Arizona. The reason for that is when the copper mines were booming in the early 20th century, there's massive investment from all over the country, and particularly the eastern seaboard, in building prominent buildings, the Masonic Hall, the library, the post office. And these were done by various architects in various styles, but together they make up this great space of the street. It's a very urban environment in which we find ourselves. And that's unique in Arizona. We just don't have that level of architecture and urbanism anywhere else. Here is a wonderful civic structure in the heart of Old Bisbee. It is the library and post office. The post office being on the ground floor and the library 2 floors above that. Bisbee's unusual in the United States in that it does not have home delivery of mail. So if you want to see if the U.S. Postal Service has brought you anything, you need to come down here to the post office and check your box. It's also a great place to bump into your friends and neighbors and then go upstairs and select a book off the shelf and maybe sit out on the porch and read it in the fresh air. Architecturally, this building was built in the Romanesque Revival style, characterized by the corbelled stones that you see at the entryway, the use of arches and these wide, stout pillars. So it's the sort of building you might build in a desert climate in the early 1900s, where the building had to protect you from the elements. Here we are in front of another great urban building in Bisbee, by which I mean it's a building that fills its entire city block. It's built right out to the edge of the street. The upper floor is supported on these cast iron pipes, and it just creates this incredible embrace of the city. The passers-by are kept out of the sunshine. It's just a really humane building. Another really special thing about Bisbee is the fact that it's built up and down all these hills, so for people to get around, stairs were built. And it's the unique feature that you don't see in any other town in Arizona, also expressing the fact that we have essentially a medieval street pattern here. It wasn't the grid imposed like in so many American towns. Bisbee was built organically up and down the hills. So Bisbee's a really special place. It's the medieval mile-high town. Holy smokes.
It's crazy. We walked up to Castle Rock by chance. We were just walking around, we saw the stairs, we started walking up, and we kept going up and up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, people live in these little houses in the cliffs. And then we finally got to the top and we could see the whole city from way up there. So it's fun that you can just explore and you're not really trespassing or anything. People are okay with you coming along and checking things out, and it was really cool.
I really like living on a mountainside upstairs because you don't have to plan in going to the gym or a workout. That's your workout, stair climbing. And also there's a certain kind of flora and fauna up a mountain, and there's views. There's all that, so it's really nice.
I'm Jeff Shriver. I'm originally from Pittsburgh. I moved to Bisbee in 1980. It's very mountainous and hilly with houses sort of cluttered along each side of them and all the stone walls. It's very beautiful. The brick architecture, very similar to Pittsburgh.
Commercial brick. There's actually a style called American commercial brick, and you can find it in Bisbee.
Visitors from all over the world come to a remote ranch outside Benson, Arizona to find a bookshop like no other and its energetic proprietor, Win Bundy.
Used to be red mud road. I'm in clay. Slip, slide, it's awful. 10% grade between the gate and down here. Every morning I go to the gate and open the gate about 8 o'clock. I don't like to have customers till 9, but at 8 I open it so it'll be open for people. People pull, as you can see. I've pulled it back together a bunch of times. There. People come not to see me, they come to see the books. I'm Winifred J. Bundy, and I have the Singing Wind Bookshop and Ranch. My mother was Winifred, and she was Winnie. So my first husband, who's been dead for quite a while, he said, well, we got to avoid confusion here. So you're going to be Win, which is fine.
Hello, it's a group from Tucson.
We are. Okay, I'm going to give you a tour here. These are all Indians of the Southwest, right in here. On the bottom, it's Iroquois, Cherokee, and the rest of the 5 civilized nations. And then you jump up, and these are the short Californians. That's the size of the book, not the people. Now the swingers, and be careful, just turn them. Don't swing them, okay? Because you might get killed by books. As a child, I either wanted to have a bookshop or an ice cream parlor. Those were the dreams that I had when I was tiny, because those are the things that I really enjoyed. So I decided the bookshop would win out. Then it's autobiography, biography, and history. I grew up all over the United States. I went to 22 schools before I got out of high school. My husband and I married when I was about, I think I just turned 19. And we had met when I was in my last year in high school. He always wanted a ranch. That's all Bob dreamed about, was owning a ranch. And it had to do with his childhood. Yeah, I mean, they lost a farm and he never got over that. I noticed an ad in the paper, and we had been looking with Dan McKinney. He had been showing us places, and we came to this place. He showed us this place, and he said, Bob, I think this is the best buy you can ever find. And we went all over. You know, we trooped the whole thing. Then he says, no, Dan, I'm not going to buy it now. And he says, what's the matter with you? Have you lost your mind? And he says, no, but I think in about 6 months I'll get it a lot less. I would watch the ads, you know, and I said one day, I said, hey, honey, there's this, that sounds like the same ranch. Call Dan and make an offer. Make an all-cash offer. And that's what we did, and we got it. Our Singing Lynn Ranch, it's a little less than 640 acres, which is a mile square. We had about 150 calves, and we'd feed them. But it was me that was feeding them. I went back to school, and I got 2 masters, a master's of library science and a master's of history. Everybody said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to open the bookshop. And they all, ha, ha, ha. You know, ranchers and cowboys are so dumb they won't buy any books. And I said, we'll see about that. I wanted to have the bookshop on the ranch because of that. I resented their feeling that those people don't read. And I would tell them in school, I'd say, they're much more qualified in reading than you are. And they have a better background in literature and history than you do. And I meant it. We worked 2 years cutting mesquite for the shelves. My husband cut it, and then I'd stain it. And the bookshop opened in 1974. I want to get the right book to the right person. Whatever subject that they're really interested in, I try to find out. When I give the tour, I try to find out what the person's interested in, and then I direct them after the tour to the books that I think perhaps they would like. All right, over here, we have 2 shelves of the creme of nature writing. We get worldwide visitors, and they come from Japan, Sweden, Norway. I get lots from Norway and Sweden. They come in thick droves. That just shows you, books open so many doors and windows to people. I guess it's just everything that I ever wanted to do. I'll probably die with my boots on here. Dreams make up the substance of books. They take you to worlds that you don't know anything about and that you want to find out about, and they make you dream.
Like what you see on Arizona Illustrated? Visit our webpage at azpm.org to watch and share videos from this episode. You'll also find stories from future programs, an easy way to submit your own story idea, an archive of past episodes of Arizona Illustrated, and you'll find everything you need to stay connected with public broadcasting in Southern Arizona. azpm.org. As temperatures rise, signs of spring surround us. Blooming flowers, busy insects, baby birds, and lounging lizards. It's also the time for rattlesnakes to come out of hibernation, an annual rite that can make some anxious. Arizona has more than a dozen species of rattlesnakes, and while many people aren't particularly excited about that, some naturalists are urging you to get to know your reptilian neighbors.
Hummingbirds and other popular colorful birds or butterflies are often called beautiful, brilliant, and even mystical. Bighorn sheep and other well-liked mammals are cute, energetic, and cuddly. But when it comes to snakes, specifically rattlesnakes and other venomous creatures, the descriptions can be very divergent. Aggressive, dangerous, slimy, and scary usually come to mind.
The list of rattlesnake myths and just snake myths in general is endless. Sure, I agree.
For Jeff Smith and Melissa Amarillo, myths, perceptions, and negative attitudes make up some of the biggest roadblocks they encounter in their quest to protect rattlesnakes and related reptiles.
Diamondback.
Amarillo and Smith are the founders of Advocates for Snake Preservation, a group that promotes conservation and coexistence with snakes.
We have a western diamondback rattlesnake that was moving across the trail. It was maybe 5 to 10 yards in front of me, and it gave just a little warning rattle, a really slow kind of tail shake, and it continued to move off into the weeds here and just coiled up at the base of this tree. That's very typical behavior for a rattlesnake. It doesn't want to be in the way. It gave me a warning that it was there, and it just got out of my way as quick as it could. All right, I'd love to see a blacktail. This is another western diamondback. So this is a female.
Amarillo believes snakes definitely need a break. They've been cast as villains or malicious animals for centuries.
A lot of us grew up with that story from the Bible of Adam and Eve, and all evil basically came from this one individual snake, or the devil looking like a snake, but the snake very much embodies evil. Most people are scared of snakes. For a lot of people, this turns into just an outright hatred, and that in many places has turned into persecuting snakes.
And this includes events such as rattlesnake roundups, which attract tourists and their money to communities across the country. The reptiles are intentionally gathered and frequently exterminated.
We don't have large festivals where people collect thousands of tigers, for instance, and kill them for entertainment and profit. But that's something that happens every year in the U.S. with rattlesnakes. We want them to be given a fair shake, if you will, for a rattlesnake.
Amarillo says rattlesnakes are not out to kill us because we are not their prey. They would never be able to eat a human being, although they can strike if you get too close, step on them, or try to handle them. Many animals will hunt rattlesnakes for food, including eagles, roadrunners, bobcats, and coyotes, and the snake tries to protect itself.
So right there is where the little cotton rat lives in here. And this is where the snakes will go, frequent these areas, to try to get the creature.
Christopher Vincent and his partner Mary Ellen Landon are also supportive of respecting snakes.
So when people are worried about snakes by their home, as long as they don't create an environment for them, they won't be right next to their house.
Vincent and Landon operate WOW Arizona, a nonprofit organization north of Tucson that focuses on getting people outside to enjoy the environment. For them, there is no good species or bad species. Rattlesnakes are just a natural part of the local landscape.
I think they all belong here. There's no deep religious or philosophical aspect, just watching how they all work together. One is prey for another is prey for another. Taking photos of even little insects, then you blow them up and there's an insect parasitizing that.
Vincent and Landon have even named their resident rattlesnakes.
Pretty Browfloy, George, or Susuza, or Cartman's our biggest favorite. He's big and fat and healthy.
The reptiles are not pets, however, and they are still treated as the wild animals that they are. Human paths are cleared for visibility, and guests are reminded to stay alert and keep their distance.
There's a healthy respect for them. They're not my friends. I don't pick them up, I don't pet them. I respect what they do, and I hope they leave me alone too.
That's a very good question.
By using science and education, Amarillo also hones in on respect, awareness, and being cautious around snakes. Don't approach them or harass them, she says, to captive audiences.
I don't want to call it licking because it doesn't feel like it, but so he's sniffing. That's what he's doing.
She's equipped with a group of non-venomous, gentle snakes that don't mind handling and rattlesnakes that remain in their enclosures. Those are for looking, not for touching.
A good rule of thumb, even though, snakes are nice, I want you guys to like snakes, I want you to appreciate snakes, but because we do live someplace where we have snakes that can potentially hurt you, and it's really painful and really expensive if it happens, if you don't know 100% sure what it is and your parents aren't there to also tell you it's okay, don't pick them up. The other thing that's different about
my take on snakes, if they hold them, it's good. I don't know that I want to hold them. It's okay with me. They don't bother me. I don't want one in my house. But I think it's very educational, and I think it's really good for us to learn about them, learn everything we can about them. The way she was holding them, it opened my eyes a little bit.
Advocates for snake preservation admit it isn't always an easy sell. They cannot rely on a fluffy black and white panda as a mascot, for example, or a bold vermilion flycatcher, which appears so pleasant to a lot of people. Still, the advocates take their message wherever possible, because if snakes can thrive in healthy habitats, they say, other creatures, including humans, will also do well.
I have loved snakes since I was a little kid, but for a while I worked with birds. I worked with peregrine falcons, I worked with California condors, and I came back to snakes because I thought they really needed someone. Even among scientists, snakes are not as popular to study, but, snakes don't have an advocate. And I know I'm not going to turn everyone into snake-obsessed crazies like me, but I think we can all respect them and appreciate them and just, you know, let them do their thing, like every other animal that's here.
Now for a trip through time. Actually, just a short jaunt off of 4th Avenue and into a small building full of games from the past and the people who loved them.
I've played pinball since I was a kid and have always tried to find places to play pinball. So when I heard about them, I started to email them on a weekly basis, basically saying, when are you opening? When are you opening? When are you opening?
We didn't really realize there was this many pinball machines, or they're still out there. There's just this huge subculture of pinball players, and I don't think a lot of people walking around the street even know that, like we didn't and discovered it. I'm Gary Delahunty, born and raised Tucsonan and half owner of D&D Pinball with my wife, Jane.
I'm surprised how much I like pinball for somebody who I never really saw the attraction of video games, you know, and that's, you know, in my era, Pac-Man, all those games were out, but I just never was really attracted to them. But there's something about pinball, like, you know, I think.
I think Cars Pinball, I was first introduced growing up in Tucson. I grew up on the northwest side, and there was a small miniature golf course. It was on the southeast corner of Oracle and Prince Road, and it was called Green Acres. It was just one of those things, you went down there and it's like, whether it be a summer afternoon or after school or something, and it was just a great thing to do, just the sound of the pinball machines and just the artwork, and even as a little kid, they were just mesmerizing.
The way it started was we just wanted a couple for ourselves, and then we got a few more, so we ended up with about 6 of them. And then people would come over and play them, and they would be excited, and they'd love it, and that's when it kind of struck us like we shouldn't keep these squirreled away for just ourselves.
When I first walked in the doors, I was absolutely blown away. The reason being is, first of all, they had a very large collection. To have about 30 machines in one place, open to the public to play, is rare and fantastic. What they basically did is they opened the largest pinball place in all of Arizona.
Wow!
Every machine is different, and when you play each machine, it really, what I think we like about them and what a lot of people do, they're just alive. Most people are just trying to stay alive and not have the ball drain, which is great. It's still great fun. Where other people, they're holding the ball with the flipper, they're planning their shots, and they know, because of the rule sets, they know what they need to go after, and they're looking at the play field.
And I started to realize that pinball was more than just bashing the ball around on this board, that there were these rules, and there's this actual game you're trying to play in terms of catching balls, trying to get multi-ball, proceed through the game in order to get a higher score. But it's got just so many great mechanics that come together.
If you own a pinball machine, the first thing you need to know is you need to know how to work on it. Both of us are longtime Raytheon employees. We actually started out there at Hughes when it was Hughes Aircraft back in the mid-'80s, and do engineering work out there and lay out, and have for many years printed circuit board designer. There's absolutely a connection. So the average pinball here has basically been the same pinball for many, many, many years. Same diameter, same weight. So if you pull one out of a game from 30 years ago, or you pull one out of a brand new machine, it's the same exact pinball. I think the newer pinball machines, and probably some of the older, they say there's about at least a half a mile of wiring into it. And I know there's a stat out there, they're saying there's more wiring in a newer pinball machine than there is in a Ford Taurus. It's amazing with the amount of relays, things opening, closing, clicking. There's gears down here with notches in them that are going everywhere. It's just a wonderful feeling when something breaks and you get in there and you start repairing it. I don't care if it's really simple or something extremely difficult. When you fix it and you turn that pinball machine on and it works again, you feel like putting your hands up in the air, and it's like victory.
What we had a chance to play were not only a lot of games, but some of the top games made in all times in the top condition of all times.
We thought there would be some people and some passion, but it's just been more than we ever anticipated or expected, and really great. Like, sometimes we've been exhausted and just thought, oh man, why did we do this almost? And then people they've hugged us and just thank you, and oh my gosh, like, come in and their jaws drop.
One of the things that I've been amazed by, in the time that I've had a chance to hang out here, help out, is just watching the diversity that people that come through here. And it's everyone.
It's a wonderful thing to see people come in here, and it's just the look on their face, and they're playing. And I think the greatest thing about this is when you look around, which is what we wanted, you at any time, you can have a 5 or 6 year old in here playing with their parents, and they're all having a great time. And you have college students standing right next to a guy that's in the 60s playing.
We have a lot invested and tied up in this, but our main thing was just to hope that we could break even, because we have great jobs we're happy with. We obviously aren't doing this for the money. Our whole plan was just try to break even. So our hope is that, break even, pay all the bills, but no matter what, always give a little bit back to the community, because that was kind of our main thing.
The fact that they basically do this for the love of pinball in order to share it with the community, and the fact that they do everything here just to promote pinball is incredible.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. Next week, we'll continue our spring getaway with part 2 of the architectural tour of Bisbee, Arizona. Explore the canyons, mesas, and perennial waters of the Aravaipa Canyon Wilderness. Take a trip into the springtime world of raptors, rattlesnakes, hummingbirds, and bats. And drop by a corner store to visit with Annie Laus. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.